All right. Well, we get some more racism today, and it's fun. It really is. How great it is to live in a world full of racism. And you got a whole bunch of racists pretending that they're not racist and can't be racist because of the color of their skin. Well, that's pretty fucking racist now, isn't it? Meanwhile, there's only one race as far as humans go, and that is the human race. Why don't we focus on that? You're just trying to take away from the black fight. You're just one of those racists who's trying to stick it to the black folks again. You're the man. I hate the man. Well, that's fucking cute. It's also about as far from the truth as you can get. If you'll notice, through all of this, I've been speaking out when these police do terrible things. But I don't just do it when it's my particular group. I don't just speak out when it's white people. I don't just speak out when it's homeless people. I don't just speak out when it's ugly people. I don't just speak out when it's broke people. I speak out for the native people too. And black folks too. And women too. But I also stick up for men. I stick up for the innocent. If you're going to blame all white people, maybe you should stop for a moment and reflect. Look at the excuses that you are personally making for the harm of others. So let's read what this BLM Nazi had to say. He typed, so another white man trying to give everybody advice about Black Lives Matter. Bitch, I ain't giving you no advice about Black Lives Matter. I am blatantly calling you a racist. Blatantly and outright. Now, maybe you should watch the whole video. Also, this is in my notifications. Why? Because this guy was too cowardly to leave it up. He decided to remove it. It says, so another white man trying to give everybody advice about Black Lives Matter. Why do you motherfuckers always want to give everyone advice since the beginning of time? Aren't you tired of? And it stops there. Now, see, since the beginning of time, it's always whites. Bitch! Motherfucker! Nasty ass fucking cunt rag! You filthy fucking whorehole racist cunt! People have been doing this since the beginning of time. What's the oldest trade on the planet? Prostitution, motherfucker. Slave trade ain't far behind. Now, let's pretend for a moment that no black person ever owned a slave in history. Let's pretend that. Now let's look at how many of these white folks that you're blaming for things are not doing it to you. How many of these people who have also been victimized, who are also speaking out, but you want to be an asshole to them because white man been keeping the black man down? Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you and your racist rhetoric bullshit. I'm not accepting that bullshit out of the KKK. I'm not accepting it out of the Airheadian Sisterhood. I'm not fucking putting up with that shit, Nazis. And you goddamn right I'm gonna fucking put your bitch ass in check for it. You don't like equal fucking treatment, motherfucker? You don't want to be called a motherfucker? I'm not giving you advice about Black Lives Matters. I am telling you that there are many black people who have been on the news who would be alive if I hadn't been ignored because I'm not black. Because I'm not a woman. Because automatically everything is my fault because of my color and because of my fucking gender. And I've been through worse. How many of your loved ones are fucking dead, bitch? Can you count them in the hundreds, bitch? How many times have you been attacked for the color of your skin, bitch? Can you count that in the hundreds, bitch? Because I sure the fuck can. And I'm not going to ignore this shit when it happens to black folk, because it's wrong. It's just as wrong when it happens to a white person, or a Native American, or a homeless person. And it's sure as hell way more fucked up when it happens to somebody who's considered mentally ill or a child. But never mind those people. They all got a plate at the table, don't they? They should all go to the back of the fucking bus, shouldn't they? Fuck no! Rosa Parks was right to stand up, and so am I. Not every single person with BLM supports your Nazi fucking rhetoric. This is a loose affiliation of people who are going, hey, something needs to fucking change. Now, we tried that with the Occupy movement. You remember Occupy? Occupy was about our rights, because it's not just happening to black folks. And we, who went through that, fought for your rights. And you know what? The whole time they had Occupy Boulder there. Did you know that I didn't stay one night with them? Not even one. I spoke up every single day and every single night, but I never stayed in those tents with those people. And do you know why? Because I told them they needed to go one day without violence, and I would stay for one night. They couldn't go one day without violence. This Occupy Boulder movement. All right, so we got this person calling themselves Cho Byung Pal. Type the word come, C-U-M. And then Ender General 404 types Wiener. Now, here's the thing. I don't care what color your skin is. I stand up to bikers. I stand up to police officers. I stand up to the KKK. I stand up to the Airheadian fucking Brotherhood. What are you guys expecting out of me? I want to know that. What? I'm not worth listening to because I'm not female. I'm not worth listening to because I don't have the money for a fucking lawyer. I'm not worth listening to because I'm not the right color, the right gender. The fact is, we are all on this fucking planet together. We're stuck on it. This isn't a planet of one. If you can't make your rent by yourself, you need help. Do you not? You're at an entry-level position that doesn't pay squat. You're busting your ass. And that's not a color thing. I get to hear about how all black people, that fucking racist joke about how do you fucking hide a black person's check and shit like that. I get to hear about that about white people too. I get to hear about the homeless too. And Hispanics too. They must all be on welfare, right? Yeah, I get fucking bombarded with that fucking racist bullshit here, too. You goddamn right I stick up to these fucking KKK motherfuckers in this fucking squat-ass town. These guys are just as crooked as they are in Colorado. Ugh. Keep wiping my sweat on the soda can where it's got the condensation. It makes it cold, and then I put it on my forehead. I am going to have to start killing some flies here shortly, though. They're getting on my goddamn nerves. And yeah, I've read y'all's comments about how, ew, it's gross. I do not like them, Sam, I am. Huh? Dead fly. Let's see if we can get us another couple of them. If I get two of them to land in the same place at once, then I can kill more than one at a time. Take your hands like this. Let's say, oh, you can't quite see that in the video, can you? Let's say the top of this can here is the fly, right here. Turn it around. You want to take your hands above it, and you want to slap them just above it. You're going to move your hands there slowly because they react to quick movement. If you move slow enough, they won't see you. So the trick isn't to go fast, it's to go super slow and then slap your hands. Oh, too slow. I didn't get them. There's got to be a way for us to get along. Rodney King, back in the 90s, a lot of y'all young folks, y'all don't know nothing. You don't know nothing about the way it used to be. A lot of y'all making stuff into racist issues. It's not a racist issue. It's the fact that you're just easy to railroad because they assume you're broke. Most of y'all out there on the streets are out there on the streets because you ain't got families, and you are the most victimized people. Most of the black people that I was locked up with were homeless for being incarcerated, and you know what? Same with most of the white people. Who pays for that? You, the taxpayers. Where's all that money that used to go to battered women's shelters go? It goes to the jails and fucking prisons now. Now this, yeah, I am pretty decent. I got another box of flies. I filled up the first one and threw it away, so here's my second box. Oh, that one's still slightly alive. That one's still slightly alive. If you crush their heads a little bit in your fingers, it stops them from moving. Usually by that time, they're too fucked up for you to bring back anyway. Now, I keep getting called racist. You know, every time I see these things happening, even to black people, I post it up and speak out about how wrong it is. But I'm a racist, apparently, for saying that it's not just happening to black folks, or that black folks are not even close to the most victimized group in America. Foster children and former foster children are. That's number one across the board. 85%, 80 to 85% of all child pornography in the United States comes from the foster care system. Foster care system loses 18,000 children per year. In the foster care system, 5 children on average die per day. Per day. And these people, now, I'm not saying these people as in black people. I am saying these people as in CPS. They can sign their own fucking warrants. Oh, man. That's weird. All right. It says Chio Boom Pal typed message automatically held for review, hidden by Sean David, view deleted message. When I didn't click to delete it, I clicked to allow it. That's pretty screwed up. I'm going to take a picture of this right now. And I'm going to see if I can undelete it. It says, how stupid do you think Black Lives Matters is? Shouldn't it be all lives matter? Well, here's the thing. How the hell do I allow that to be fucking shown now? I'm sorry, Chio Boom Pal. I wasn't trying to get rid of your message. You know, I can understand the Black Lives Matter movement. But yes, all lives do matter. And saying that somebody is racist or saying that all of the victims need to be accounted for, pretending that it's just a black issue. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. Oh, dude, that dude went flying. I still got guts on my fingers. Usually when you get guts on you, they stick to you. And then you got to flick them off. And then it takes forever to find them. And then you got to wait for them to land, and sometimes they land on your hands instead of on the keyboard. Keyboard's the best place to kill them at right now because it's flat. Here's another one. I learned that from a guy here in Chapel, Nebraska named Matt Klingman. I don't know much about Matt Klingman's personal opinions or his personal politics. I do know that he liked to pick on me, but he wasn't necessarily a bully about it. Big difference between being a dick and all in good fun. The Native American that I go see, that he grew up moving all over the place. He learned that when you're moving to a bunch of places where there's a bunch of white people, you make fun of yourself. And then people start to get to like you. They realize you're human. He's Native American, so he makes a few Native American jokes, and he's in like Flint. I think that's the way that it's said, isn't it? That's from Austin Powers. Oh, here's another one. Put them in our little box here. I didn't mean to block your comment. I didn't do it intentionally. Oh, I could have gotten 3 of them there at once. And look, there's one landed on my... Oh, it flew off. Oh, I dropped him on the floor. Not cool. That's all right. There's plenty around. Should it be all lives matter? Well, actually, you shouldn't even have to say that all lives matter. That's something that when you're dealing with me, well, that's just taken for granted. You're a human being until you show me otherwise. I don't care about the color of your skin. I care about the content of your character. And if you're going to pretend that the other people going through this aren't going through this because it doesn't fit your narrative of black, then there's a major problem here. I'm all for the laws that are trying to get changed. Those are literally the same laws that I have been trying to fight to get changed in Colorado for over a decade. Well over a decade, probably closer to 15 years. Like the body cameras thing and the police arresting witnesses, or in some cases, witnesses ending up dead. Now, there's a guy named Jayhawk. His conversation with me is on here, and he talks about some of the murders in Boulder. Things that people want to pretend I'm schizophrenic for talking about. Then there's the people who are victims of human trafficking in Boulder. And people want to pretend that I'm joking, that I am schizophrenic, that these things aren't happening. They want to pretend that, well, in Lolatai, because he's an officer, I got a hair tickle in my nose. Because he is an officer, he would never dare assault a homeless person. And then he assaulted how many people after me? 6 more just in 2018. And people wanted to pretend that when I spoke out about Clearview, about how I was treated in there, like I must be schizophrenic, because they would never do these things to a human being. They'd get in trouble. No, they only get in trouble when somebody fucking dies. They did the same thing to me that they did to Tibor Hatay and Elijah McClain in that very same state, in those very same jurisdictions, and others. And you want to pretend that I'm schizophrenic, even though there is now proof, irrefutable proof, that I was telling the truth and that it doesn't just happen to me. But then again, you need public pressure to get the cops to do their jobs, especially when they can blow you off. As Officer Holloway put it in the video with him, one of the videos with him on here, human nature. He said, what I've been saying for 3 years, I need someone to go in with me. The thing is, having to go to the same department that I was trying to turn in, that's pretty fucked up. You know, there's a lot of stuff that people treat me like I'm crazy for saying. One of them is saying that terrorists were getting a hold of me. So I'm going to look up this one for you. Called Gargassian weaponry. This guy here got a hold of me. Let me see. Maybe I should put my name with it. It looks like there's a whole bunch of them that are up there now. Nope, it's looking like I will have to go to my channel and look it up that way. Was that removed? Huh. Let's see. We'll go to videos here and find it the old-fashioned way. We'll sort it from the bottom up. That makes it easy to find, because that situation started while I was at Shannon Alvarado's in November and December of 2018 and continued up to my father's in Washington State in January of 2019. So you can see the ones where I have a white sheet behind me. Those videos are all done at Shannon Alvarado's house in Sherman Oaks, California. So if I can get past that, I'll see one where I am in that Jeep and I am speaking about Mr. Gargassian. Let's see. Here's the one about missing women of Hardin, Montana. Keeps together strong. These ones are from Amanda Engeline. This one's from my dad. It should be in here somewhere. See, this one's called Fighting for Our Rights. This is the conversation with Brandon Ratner. Huh. Ah, here it is. I found it. 32 views from 1 year ago. This is a 47-minute, 11-second conversation. This man liked an engine design that I had. I designed a 3.5-pound engine with no moving parts that's got about the same power as a Volkswagen Beetle engine. This man wanted to use them to kill people in Azerbaijan. I'm just not down with that. Copy video URL, go to live streaming, over here to the right hand side, post this shit up, paste. This guy's name is Andre Gagasian. He got a hold of me on a YouTube video, and I can find that YouTube video as well. It's from Maddox Motors. This guy makes pulse jets for a living, I believe, in California. Maddox Pulse Jet. And you guys can actually see how me and him first got to talking to each other. Let's see if I can find the right one. Is this it? It might be. I don't care about the University of Phoenix. Sorry about the music. He's welding one together. Let's see. The guy's name is Robert Maddox. And I also have some emails between myself and this feller too. So it's not like it's just that one conversation. Here it is. Sean David, 1 year ago. Sir, I made a valveless steam pulse jet that gets almost 50 pounds of thrust, weighs less than 3 pounds. It actually weighs about 3.5, almost 3.5, and can be built in 20 minutes with hand tools. I built my first one, believe it or not, with a guy named Josh Hughes, the very same guy that got me kicked out of my shop. But he bet me that I couldn't build it in less than 10 minutes with a hacksaw, a rock, and a hammer. And he was right. It took me 12 minutes. I just took a picture of that so I can prove it to you. And there's 13 replies here between myself and someone calling themselves Mr. Martin 889900. And this is how Mr. Gagasian got a hold of me. And I explained to him that I'm not very good with computers. And I also explained to him that I'm probably going to be going to prison for a good long while, and that I wanted to make sure that this technology was out there for the rest of the world. All right, this one's pretty long. I'm definitely not going to read all that. There's a lot to it. I even talk about Josh and his experience at the Air Force Academy. He's also really into steampunk. And of course, I recorded all of this, and I'm re-recording it because so much evidence was stolen, lost, or destroyed by police. Now, Mr. Gagasian, he wanted, once you see the emails between him and I, he wanted to use it to hurt people. And I was like, no, dude. If you're going to use it to hurt people, I'm just not down. Now, that video that I just posted up the link to, the important thing about that is that I made that phone call so that I could catch that guy before he's able to do something to hurt people. And he was trying to use my history and my background to try to convince me that I should help him because I agree with the Israeli cause. And I don't, believe it or not. I believe in the human cause. He thought that he could use what's going on in Israel and my ancestry to convince me that, yeah, these guys are Israel's friends, so I should give him weapons and give him technology that he can use to go kill people. Not fucking cool. Now let's see if we can actually get these pictures to show up without being fuzzy. That seems to be a big major issue too. The biggest issue we got is that people just don't care about each other. We're forced to care about money. Oh, that's a beautiful picture. That's a much more realistic semblance of Jesus. Although when I envision Jesus, I envision him with either dreadlocks or matted hair. I don't know why. Um, Here, actually, I'll just click the link to this video. That's the best way to do it, isn't it? Now you got to scroll down a ways, but when you finally get to it, copy video URL. We'll just put this here for y'all. And I keep doing this. People keep asking me questions and wanting me to start over from the beginning. And the fact is, there's just too much to cover. This is a national epidemic. What these police are doing, they're not just doing the minorities. They're not just doing the black folks. They're not just doing the adults. They're not just doing the men. It's a tough fight, and we're fucking losing. Not everybody who disagrees with your propaganda are evil or hateful. So what are we going to do? Are we going to make it so that anything that anybody does to a black person is against the law? But a black person can do anything they want to anybody else? That's the narrative a lot of people are trying to push right now. No, absolutely not. I stuck up for your rights as black people for a long time. I stuck up for LGBT rights for a long time. And women's rights for a long time. And you know what? Men's rights too. Men are human beings as well. I get to hear from the women who post up the most stuff about needing dick, about how all men just want one thing. No, the men you go after want one thing. It's the same thing that you're after. Why are you complaining about them being after it? Why are you going to post up about wanting dick? Very specifically, I want dick. I need dick. I haven't had dick in 3 weeks. I need to get laid. Stuff like this out of women just today. And those women just happen to be the ones who talk the most about how men are shitty, about how men only want one thing. You went out looking for penis. You found penis. And now you're pissed off that it was just penis. Meanwhile, you're going to blame all men, and you didn't get that penis from me, did you? No, you didn't. It wasn't my penis. It was somebody else's penis. You want to talk about how men keep running away from women? I know lots of women who run away from men who have kids. It's not just one race or one sex or one skin color. No matter how much you want to push that narrative, it's assholes being assholes to whoever they can victimize and get away with it. Oh, you need to get a civil lawyer. Ho, ho, ho. Big old shit-eating grin on their face. You turn in the paperwork that they tell you have to turn in when you're assaulted by an officer, and the very officer you're trying to turn in is the one who brings you your paperwork back and says he's not going to do it. Meanwhile, lots of folks in the houses promised they'd help. They didn't understand, or they were too busy getting fucked up on drugs and alcohol. Then later on, they want to pretend that that shouldn't have had any effect on me, especially after what I've been through. Fuck yeah, that's going to affect me. When you're getting drunk and fucking yelling at your boyfriend over stupid shit every fucking night. Yeah, I just want to get the hell out of there, but then I'm dependent on you because I got to wait on Graham to send that fucking mail. And it took him 6 weeks to do that, didn't it? 6 weeks. Thank you for coming to visit. show be on, pal. Ender General 404. You wouldn't happen to be a Minecraft player, would you? The other thing that we need to look at is that it's not just the United States. The whole world is looking at this. The whole world is looking at the United States with their Nazi leaders spouting his Nazi rhetoric and Nazi propaganda. And then we're getting this Nazi propaganda out of people who claim to be for BLM. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I make a lot of connections that most people don't. Yep. I got Minecraft on my computer. I just don't play it. That was one of those things that after Natalie died, Raja, that's Miss Peach's boyfriend, baby's daddy, and all that. Well, Raja and Miss Peaches were trying to convince me that I should get Minecraft, and then I could play with them when I'm elsewhere online. Problem is, I was having problems finding places with online access. It's difficult when you're homeless and all of your money is getting spent to go from one place to another. That money needed to be spent to defend myself and to feed myself and take care of myself. And I needed people to come forward about what they said they would. Instead of coming forward about the things that they said they would, they procrastinated and procrastinated and procrastinated and did nothing. And then later on, when I speak out, they want to get angry at me. Well, that's fine. You be as angry as you want. You feel how I feel. Difference is, at least the shit that you feel bad about for, it's stuff that you actually did, and now you feel shame. In order for me to feel shame, I have to do something to be ashamed of. And fighting for our rights is nothing to be ashamed of. Breaking the law to save the lives of children when their parents can't. Fuck yeah, I'm going to be proud of that. Do Black Lives Matter? Yes. And saying that all lives matter is not detracting from that. It's not in any way, shape, or form saying that Black lives don't matter. Matter of fact, Black Lives Matter is rather ignoring everyone else whose lives matter. Ignoring everyone else who has had to go through this. As if it's only happening to black people. And that's a fucking bullshit racist fucking narrative, and we all know it. Is that to say that there's no racism? Fuck no, that's not saying that. Not even close. There is plenty of fucking racism. I mean, shit. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I go walking down the street here in Chapel, Nebraska. I can hear the N word 400 times probably by the end of the day. People are pissed off that the bank is closed. Ugh. Why do we have to celebrate this holiday? There's no black people in town. Well, there is now. See, people didn't choose their hatred towards me based on their color. They chose it based on mine. They didn't choose it based on their gender. They chose it based on mine. As if a white male can't be victimized or can't be targeted because he's a white male. When you're homeless, you're broke. When those officers did that to Zaid Atkinson, did he look like a fresh cut college student? Or did he look like one of them hippie travelers that you see on the side of the road with a fucking backpack? Yeah, that's one of them rich kids you hear about, the ones who want to live the lifestyle, want to idolize it. Zaid Atkinson ain't any more black than I am. See, that's the thing about Obama. I liked Obama. I still like Obama. But he's still a white guy. He is still a motherfucking white guy, regardless of the fucking color of his skin and the fact that he had to deal with a lot of racist fucking bullshit because people didn't like the color of his skin. You look at his politics, he's just as white as the rest of them. Zaid Atkinson might as well have been an upper middle class white kid going to school at CU. But then again, he wasn't dressed like that, was he? No, he wasn't. He wasn't dressed like he might help to win the next football game and bring fame and prestige to Boulder, Colorado over fucking bullshit. Fuck football. The Romans did that. Bread and circuses. Bread and circuses. It doesn't matter if it's baseball, football, hockey. When's the last time they had a riot in Boulder and what the fuck was it over? A fucking hockey game. Meanwhile, what happened to me and Natalie in Boulder County was way more fucked up than JonBenét. My abuse in Boulder County started in 1984, 1985. That's how many years this shit's been going on. I've been speaking out since 1987. Anybody who wants to tell me to shut up and get to the back of the bus can kiss my ass. I'm not gonna. I'm not your bitch. Now, I've made many strategic withdrawals. If you can't win, retreat. Fall back to a more fortifiable position. Boulder is not fortifiable. Most of those guys who are left there are the ones who are junked out of their goddamn minds. That's not the way it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago even. That's a recent development because police wanted to ignore all the meth heads, and every time somebody would call in about the crimes from the meth heads, the police would go arrest somebody who's innocent. That way they can say, hey, see, homeless are still breaking the law. We're still getting the homeless, and they're still doing it and still doing it. See, it's homeless on homeless crime. You like that? Yeah, I knew you would. What do we call it when it's a white person committing a crime against another white person? It's just a fucking crime. Yes, we can see how white people want to justify things by saying, well, there's no white on white crime. No, we don't call it white on white crime. We call it black on black crime if we're racist assholes. And we want to pretend that all black people are monkeys and primates and can't read and aren't good for anything except picking a cotton field. And we all know through our own lifetimes that that's not true. Black people can read. Do y'all know who George Washington Carver was? Do you know who started the Tuskegee Institute? Did you know that wasn't just for flyboys? That was a college of agriculture. A lot of people want to talk about the genius of Nikola Tesla. Most of his test subjects and test tubes and test products of every sort started off as trash. Glass bottles, aluminum foil, old hangers, soda cans, tin cans, whatever. And guess what? George Washington Carver used the same things. You know, it's kind of funny, or rather it's not, listening to a white guy who's eating a peanut butter and jelly fucking sandwich talking about how black people never did nothing for the world. That's Chapel fucking Nebraska. That's where I'm at right now. Who invented peanut butter, motherfuckers? George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver. He also had a hand in the extracts that we use for making gelatin. I'm not talking about cow gelatin made out of hooves and skin and all that stuff dried up, ground up, and then reconstituted with water. Some of y'all are stoners, right? You get them clear papers, right? The glucose papers. They're transparent. Where do you think those come from? Where do you think that technology came from? Who started that? Who had the most impact in the United States as far as that goes, and at this point worldwide? Matter of fact, the things that were created, started, and invented by George Washington Carver became so successful that many countries refused to allow his GMOs in their countries. Yeah. Anyway, I gotta let y'all go. Be safe. Try not to kill anybody. If you have to defend yourself, defend yourself. Do what you have to. It ain't nobody's place to tell you you can't defend yourself. Good night, y'all. I'll probably be back on later.